will straight go to the slides and I'll let you know what there is all about Tableau. But first, we'll also address some of the main questions that we need to answer before diving into Tableau. And since this is a closed-knit program, I would like you to involve yourself and ask as many questions as you can. Also, it will be somewhat an interactive session. So you have to be along with me, as well as I would ask you to answer some questions, and please do that in the chat box. So let's start off with the presentation. So today's we are going to talk about Tableau, and we are going to discover new ideas and opportunities with it. So before we head on to Tableau, I want to ask you one simple question. How many of you know what is data visualization? This is a very simple question, and I'll wait for like 30 seconds, and I'm waiting in the chat box, and I want your answers, yes or no. I don't want an elaborative answer, but I want yes or no. Please do fast as you can, because this is really important. Okay, I've gone 1, 2, okay, 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 okay. That's great. Please keep them coming. Okay, we're still going on. Great. So I can see there are lots of yes, some no as well, and it's fine. So the main objective behind asking you this question was, I may quote some of the names, and please don't be absurd about it. Let's say Prakash Kumar Jha said yes, and we had someone who said no as well, but I can see there are so many yeses. So if I can put that in a form of, let's say, a spreadsheet, so there will be a name, and then we'll have the yes or no associated with it. But if I say, I'll just annotate it here, and let's say someone is XX, and he has said yes, and then there is someone who has said X, some name, and then there is no. And similarly, we have different such data in there, right? So, but now, if we go back to our presentation, and if we try to visualize this particular information, which I just showed you, that there's a name and then there's an associated yes or no. Now, if we want to know how many yes or no were there, it's really hard, right? Because you have to go through and maybe you have to count them, or maybe you'll use some function. But how about if I show you this? We have just put our data in the form of 2 visual structures. These are just horizontal 2 structures, which clearly shows us that there were more yes than no. This is not the exact figure which I got, but yes, there were more yeses than no. And this is somehow, which is so much comfortable to our eyes. If I've showed you 100 names and 100 yes or no, it would have been so much difficult. But when you can see this particular structure, it's pretty much really clear how many yeses are there, or the yes is much more greater than no, and it solves our answer. So data visualization actually helps us in doing that. It simplifies all the information, that large chunk of data, and helps us to perceive that in the form of visual entities or structure, and that is very easy to understand through our eyes. Now let's go ahead. Let's take a deep, what is data visualization? So if we can say, what is data? So data is somehow, it's structured, it's a raw structure of information. It's sometimes it may be arranged, or sometimes it may be unstructured. It may be cleaned, or maybe it may be full of garbage content. That's not in our hands, actually, because the data that comes in, it may be in the form of we need it, but it may not be. So that is data. Now, visualization. Now, visualization is something that we use to explain this data, and we try to create a communication. between those data, and we try to present it in the form of visual structures. And when we both combine these, data plus visualization, it helps us to deliver insights. So that altogether is data visualization. It helps us to communicate our data, whether it is arranged or structured or cleaned or full of garbage, to help us communicate to us and deliver some insights that are useful in answering different types of questions. That totally depends on what you're trying to ask from data. And with the help of that, we can answer different questions and deliver insights that may be helpful in context to us, or maybe if we are talking about business sense, in context to business problems. So I'll move ahead once. Now, there are different forms of data visualization. One of the general form we'll be talking about actually is this. This is the business dashboards. These are the business dashboards, are the dashboards which are generally used in business setup, we can say, or since I'm working, let's say I'm working as a business intelligence analyst at American Express Global Business Travel. So the most general form of visualization that we generally create at work are business dashboards, and they have a proper structure. And I won't dig in deep right now, but this is one of the things that we need to focus on more. Now, one of the second part is storytelling visualization. This is another type of visualization which I'll show you later. And it's somehow where we try to set up a story when we are scrolling and digging deep, and it's somehow a type of storytelling that we try to involve with it. And there is one more type that is called static, that is a part of static, and this is called infographics. You must have seen various infographics that are out there. If you have ever gone to Pinterest or Behance, such websites, you'll see lots of visual infographics that are actually data visualization, but they are static. Now, Tableau helps us to do one thing, and that is creating a data visualization that is totally interactive. We can make a static one as well, but the main feature that comes with Tableau is this: you can make interactive visualization that a user can use and dig in deep. So let's go further. And so Pratibha has already introduced me, but I'll take a bit of your time. I'll stop in the data visualization part that we were just talking about, because this is also important and it will benefit you as well. So I'll just take a small description about me. That is, I'm a business intelligence analyst. I was recognized as a Tableau featured author this year itself. I'm a Tableau Asia Pacific region speaker, we remember, and I started Tableau Buddy program. That's one-to-one consultation program, and we did almost 90 plus sessions last year in 2 months around, and we went all around the world. Like we had participants from all around the world. It's somehow I've mentioned the numbers, like more than 10 countries, but I can say I almost touched all of the continents out there. So also because of my contribution, I was nominated as a Tableau ambassador as well as a Tableau visionary this year. Somehow it didn't make it, so I believe I have to do more as well towards the community. And this is the start of my journey, because I started my Tableau journey in 2020 itself. I'm a mechanical engineer, and I did a career transition into analytics after working in that particular mechanical engineering domain for around 3 years. So it was a bit difficult, but I enjoy my work, and that's why I improved myself further, and I really love it what I am doing. So further, I'll talk a little more about Tableau Buddy, because this is a program that I started last year, and it is very close to my heart. And it is all about, it's very simple. You just need to book a slot and fill up a simple form. It's a one-to-one 30 minutes consultation, and where you can see guidance towards your queries. If you want to scale up, if you want to make that career transition, or if you want some tips over your visualization. And it's a totally free consultation, and it was up last year. And I'll announce something at the end of the session as well about this Tableau Buddy program. Uh, a lot about it. So how does we actually do with this Tableau Buddy program? So we create a roadmap for you, because I can talk a lot about it. I can give you some suggestions, but how does it help you? So that's why we have different roadmaps with different objectives that you may have, because I've perceived with the last year experience that there are some predefined objectives that generally people have in mind. So we have already developed roadmaps that we get you to follow, and this will help you to further succeed in your data visualization journey. Further, it's just about how much feedback and joy, love I've got from the people who had attended. So that's why I want to focus more on this type of programs, and I want to give back to the community. So this is all about me, and let's move again back to data visualization. Sorry for taking time, but that was important too. Now, coming back to data visualization, we talked about what are different forms of data visualization, what is actually data visualization, but what is a good data visualization? That is something is also that we need to look for. Now, coming on to this Venn diagram that we can see, data visualization, it's actually an intersection of data, function, and then design. What is data? Data, we already talked about. Data is an raw form of input or raw information that we can get from anywhere. Uh, and function, it's something, now you have the data and you want to visualize it. But first, you would like to make it tangible. You would like to make it clear. You would like to make it purposeful. So that's where the cleaning and transformation part comes in. And apart from these two, these are somewhat the more fundamental type of things that we usually know that yes, data is messy and we would like to clean it, and we would like try to make it much more useful. But there's one more addition that makes a good data visualization as design. Because I already we have seen a few minutes ago that if I show you all the data in the form of these rows and the information in the form of text, like yes and no, it is really hard to perceive and really hard to catch up. But when we try to infuse it with design or visual structure, it creates an impact. It creates an impact such that you can deliver some insights out of that. And that's what makes a good data visualization. So one of the main purpose of a good data visualization is to make your data deliver insight as easily as possible. You don't want to create something messy out there with the form of data visualization. That is really hard to perceive. One of the main importance is to make the user feel comfortable when they're trying to view their data. And that's where the data visualization comes in. So that's all about data visualization and its basic. And let's move on to Tableau. But before we move on to Tableau, do you have any questions about data visualization? If you have, I can address that.
No, sir.
Great. I think I think you are now comfortable enough, and I can see that I'm getting no. So that's really great that you're trying to interact with me, and I'm really thankful for this. Now, coming to data visualization, we talked about data visualization. Now we'll talk about one of I won't say one of, but the hero of our today's session, and that is Tableau. So what is Tableau? Tableau is actually we call it as a business intelligence tool, but more of it, Tableau tries to showcase this software more as a data exploration tool. It's not just useful for business intelligence, but you can explore your data with the help of this particular platform. It's actually, as they say, it's actually a visual analytics platform that trying to transform the way we use data to solve problems. So Tableau actually uses the principles of data visualization and helps us to modify or transform the data into form of visual structures that are easily perceivable and can also solve problems. Now, moving on to why data visualization with Tableau. Now, there are numerous data visualization tools or BI tools out there in the market. So this question really pops up in the mind that why I should invest my time with Tableau. So one of the key things that I have in mind about why data visualization with Tableau is because I come from a non-programming background. I'm a mechanical engineer. And while using Tableau, you need no programming background. You just need an analytical mindset so that you can create some normal logics. And that logic is not something which like you need some type of training for that. There are a normal syntax and you have to adhere to that, and on the basis of that you can create your own logic. Further, it's a drag and drop tool for creating those visual structures. You don't have to draw it. It's not that hard. You just need to drag and drop some elements and the visualization will be there. One of the best thing about Tableau is it has a dedicated community that can help you discover and improve yourself. So we'll talk about this dedicated community in detail a bit. So we'll talk about this dedicated community at the end of the session. And I'll also let you know how this is important and how you can improve yourself with the help of this community. Also, if we talk about like the Gartner's report and how the Tableau stands there in the market. So it has good adoption rate. If I talk about specifically about India, what I've seen is Tableau is at an early stage and lots of companies are trying to adopt it. So it has a long way to go and it is really good today itself to invest your time with Tableau. If we talk about particularly about job market, so there are lots of jobs out there, and even if you search today on LinkedIn, this might be this numbers might be a bit off, but yes, there are lots of entry level jobs as well as experience level jobs out there with Tableau, and it has a good market. That's what I'll say. So now we are coming to the agenda. I didn't show you earlier because now what we can see is this is altogether our agenda. We wanted to learn about what is data visualization, why data visualization with Tableau. So these are the 2 points that we have already completed. Now we'll head further into understanding data using Tableau, and we'll build some basic charts, and then we'll learn about Tableau Public, community, and all about that. So before we jump right onto Tableau, you can follow along with me. So Pratibha might have, you must have got the link to download Tableau Public as well. So if you have Tableau on your system, I would just recommend you to just open the Tableau on your system as well and go along with it, because that will help you to really see what we are trying to do. Okay, so that with having said that, let's understand data using Tableau. But before even understanding the data using Tableau, we'll be using sample superstore data. That is one of the sample data that we get along with Tableau. If you don't need to open it right now, so just look at it once. And why I'm trying to show you this is because this is something we are going to visualize today. This is the raw information that we have got. Now see, these are different columns. These are the columns. I'll just bold it so that it will be easily, you can see it easily now. Now, these are the columns and these are our rows. These are detailed information. That's what we have. Okay. Now, coming to this spreadsheet, what you can see, there are lots of data out there. Now, if I ask you one single question, like which region has the highest amount of sales, it's really hard. Maybe we can do a pivot. Those who are expert in Excel, that's really easy for them. Now, but if I don't talk about this, I want to shift your focus to something different. We are not talking about right now about data visualization or something, but we will talk first about what is data out there. And if we see the data in there, what type of data do you see? We can see text, date, and then numbers, text, more text, numbers, right? So there are actually two types of data that we need to know about. One of them is, one is quantitative, and the other one is qualitative. Now, what is quantitative data? Quantitative data are generally the form of data that are usually in the form of numbers, and that can be measured. Numbers are something that can be measured, right? Whereas qualitative data is something that can be counted and can be bucketed into different groups. So you might have a question that why I'm talking about data types right now, because our one of the agenda was to understand data using Tableau. But before we dive into Tableau, this is really important to understand that there are generally there are two types of data. One is quantitative and the other one is qualitative. And what is the significance of both of these data types? Because there will be a correlation when we'll be dragging this data into Tableau environment and see how they correlate. So I'm sure now we've got an idea about what is quantitative and what is qualitative. Like the product name, if we can see, these are different types of data and can be counted and can be bucketed into different types as well. Like the product name, they are already bucketed as subcategories and further into categories. So that is something we can call it as a qualitative data. Now, coming on to sales, these are numbers, and this is something that you can measure on a scale, like height, weight, sales, profit. These are something that we can measure. Yes, as I just said, numerical and categorical can be said as this is numerical can be said as quantitative and categorical as qualitative. So there can be different conventions that we can see this, but let's fix our attention to quantitative and qualitative right now. And now we'll move ahead to using Tableau. Okay, now let's open our Tableau environment. So this is our Tableau environment. Whenever you open the Tableau desktop or public, if you have, you might see such type of icon over there on your desktop if you have it right now. So you can click on it, and let me just clear this. Okay, now it's all good. Okay, so this is the Tableau environment, and this is how it looks like when you just open up. Now, one of the first thing that we need to do is we'll connect our data to our Tableau environment. So what I'll do is I can connect to, since I'm connecting it to a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. So I'll click on here. We have different types of files as well that we can offer. There are a whole lot of server as well. If you have Tableau desktop, you can see this option. But if you don't, if you have Tableau Public, you won't have these many options out there. But you might have these options. So we'll not go into this, but we'll just click on Microsoft Excel. And now in your documents, if you are using a Windows system, go to your documents, and in that you'll find Tableau repository. In Tableau repository, go to data sources, and you might have a single folder out there by the version name. Just click on any of them, and in that you will find sample superstore.xls. So we'll just select this and we'll click on OK. Now, we have already connected our Tableau environment with the sample superstore data sheet. So now we can see right now, as we can see, this is the data pane that Tableau has. Now, if it is blank out there, it means there has been no ingestion right now. Data hasn't come in. It just shows that we have connected to it, but there is no ingestion of data right now. And here we can see the different tables that are there within this particular Excel sheet. So we'll use the orders. Either we can drag and drop, or we can just double click on this. And we can now, when the data comes in inside the Tableau environment, when there's an ingestion that has already taken place, we can see our data here in the form of rows and columns. That is how we saw in our spreadsheet as well. So now if you can see, the data is already here and the ingestion is successful. So this is the data source pane. And now what we'll do is
I'm so sorry to interrupt in the middle. Like, can you explain me again how to extract the file?
Sure, we can do that. So I'll just remove it from here. So after we have connected the file with the sample superstore data, now what happens is this particular superstore data, if I'll show you this particular, it has different tables in there. There's orders, people, and then returns. There are three.
This superstore file is inbuilt?
It's not inbuilt, but if you have already downloaded Tableau desktop, it's there. It must be already there on your system. So it's not inbuilt. You'll find it in the documents folder of your system, and that there will be a folder called My Tableau repository. And when you go in that particular, I'll show you this as well. Like if you go to documents, you'll find a Tableau repository, and in that, in data sources, you'll have one of the versions folder, and in that you will find the file. That's how you can get the file out there. Okay.
Yeah.
So once you connect this file to your Tableau environment, you'll see the 3 different tables that are out there in your spreadsheet. They are now presented here, all the 3. Now, either you can make relations or do joins. You can do data modeling as well, but we won't talk about data modeling today. So what I'll do is I'm going to use this particular spreadsheet tab, that is orders, this table only for our presentation today. So what we can do is, right now it's not ingested in Tableau environment. So if I want to ingest it into Tableau, what I can do is I can just take it and I can just drop it here. Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
That's how the ingestion is successful. And the data is now in our Tableau environment. Okay. Now, one of the things that you might be seeing here is that with every column name, there is some symbol associated with the column name, right? So what does this mean? If you can see that Tableau automatically has that feature that it identifies the data type. It identifies what type of data is actually out there. If it is a number, so what I'll do is I'll just open a whiteboard, maybe, or maybe here as well. 1 minute. Okay. So I'll just talk about the different data types, how Tableau actually identifies them. Okay. So first one is, if you are able to see this is actually an integer. Please forgive me for my bad handwriting, but this is an integer. The ABC, if you can see out there, this is actually a text type. Okay. Now, if you can see this one, this symbol, I'll try to draw it as well. Something like this. Yeah, this. So this is date. If you have a notebook with you, you can also note it down because this is really important. For the what more we can see here? We can see numbers, ABC, text,
graphical.
and there's a globe as
Yeah.
well. That's something that is called, this is really hard to draw now. Okay, but I'll try. Sorry for that. So this is something that we can associate it with geographical location or a spatial data. Just take it as a geographical location. It will be much more easier to understand. And pardon my bad handwriting again. So these are the four types of data that we can usually see in Tableau. There are others if you can maybe you might not come across this. If there is a symbol like this means this is a Boolean type of data. Either it is true or false. So it's a Boolean. Really sorry again. And so these are the different types of data, and these are the symbols how Tableau actually identifies them. So it gets really easy when you ingest some data out there, and you can just see what type of data is it. And Tableau gives you the ability to even change the data type as per your requirement. Let's say there may be a chance where the data date is not in a typical format that it should be, and it's not identified as a data type. So what you can do is, for changing a data type, you can just click on this particular symbol. I think I need to, okay, on this particular symbol, and then you can change the data type of that particular variable. So that's how easy it is. You can just click on this particular symbol and select any of this. Let's say I want this date to be string, but this is already a date. So now it will act as string. It won't act as date. It has a different, I'll say how date acts and how we'll use it. That's something we'll cover later. So let's shift it back to a date. And I think you must have noted this. So I'll just clear my screen. Let's shift on to the sheet one. Now, this is the workspace where you will actually build something. The data source tab was where you can do the data modeling, maybe even change the data types as well. And you can actually visibly see the raw information out there. But when we come to sheet one, this is actually the main workspace where you are going to build your first chart. So if you can focus, we'll go step by step. So if you can see the pane, this is the menu bar. So from here you can save. Here you can pull new data sources as well. This is something you can explore at a later stage. Now coming on to this, this is a toolbar. This is called a toolbar, and it will also help you to save your worksheet and then add more worksheets. These have different functionalities, and you learn as you gradually. This is a sorting button you can use to sort your charts. So I can go over this, but this will make you much more fuzzy over what we actually want to know. So let's just leave it. And the important part where you should focus right now is this part, the data pane, as we call it. Now, what is data pane? Data pane, as we can see, holds all the columns that you have in the data, and it further segregates them. You can see some of them are blue in color, while some of them are green in color. Now, what does it means? Because data visualization is all about color. Now, if this is a data visualization tool and there are different colors, it might have some analogy or some information behind it. right? So what I'll tell you one thing, like if anybody can say, like you can see that what was profit, sales, and like what were this type of data? Is it a quantitative type of data or a qualitative? I want your answers in the chat. These green symbols like document, profit, quantity, sales, these are right. So these are quantitative type of data. And when we talk about these, like the category, country, customer name, product name, region, these are all are qualitative type of data, right? And thank you for being interactive. That's the maximum I can ask for. So what we can see is, if we can just relate the analogy of what we learned in our Tableau, in our spreadsheet, we can see that it actually differentiates between the two types of data. Like the quantitative data is at one side and it is separated by the line, and the other we have our qualitative type of data. So that is what actually Tableau does. Tableau actually differentiates between the qualitative and quantitative type of data, and then further identifies them into two different parts that we call as dimensions and measures. So in general, what we can say that is, just write it over here. If we're talking about qualitative, this is something you should also note. Uh, if you're talking about qualitative, these are called as dimensions in Tableau. This is more of a Tableau analogy, we can say. And these are always identified by blue color. Now coming on to quantitative. Quantitative are something that are called measures in Tableau, and they are identified by green color. These two analogies, they won't change throughout the Tableau environment. Wherever you're using it, these are some of the foundational concepts that are really something that we just need to like consume, and like this is the base of how Tableau recognizes the information and how Tableau further divides them into two different parts, or we can say two different buckets. So qualitative is known as dimensions in Tableau, whereas the quantitative is known as measures in Tableau. Now, further, what we'll do is, I'll just clear this again. And now, before we go on to create our chart, there are two more things which are really important to understand. Now, when we're going to build our first chart, we'll use these rows particularly. We'll use this part, columns, and this is known as rows. And we'll be also using this particular marks card. These are the three elements that we'll be focusing today. Now, what is rows and columns? So if in general, before I talk about rows, let's just build one chart, because I think it's already more than half an hour and it must be getting boring as well. So I'll just remove all of this, and we'll just create a simple, let's say we'll create a simple bar chart right now. So let's just take region and put it onto columns. And now, because we are trying to create a bar chart, we'll just name it bar chart as well. Just follow along with me. And now what we'll do is we'll take one of the measures, because if we want to measure something, we can measure on a scale of something, but we need to bucket it into something to create a bar chart. So that's our bucket. The regions are our bucket, and then we'll place our sales onto rows. And this creates a bar chart. See how much it is simple now. If when I'd asked you earlier, using this particular spreadsheet, that which region might be having the highest sales, it is really hard to say, right? But when we build this, it's really easy to say that West has the highest amount of sales. It's pretty much evident, and it's really easy to see. Now, why I showed you this is, when we placed a region, just try to understand this in a different term right now, because this is really important, how you use rows and columns to build your chart. So once you have placed a region onto columns, you can see that the y-axis, the x-axis is somewhat that takes the form of your columns, and the x-axis is somewhat that takes the form of your rows. Okay, so let's just draw it down. Let's just take it. Now, this is what is columns actually. Writing is really hard. I'll try again. And these are rows. So whatever you place on these particular columns and rows placeholders, in general, we call these as shelves. These are rows and column shelves. This is the terminology that Tableau uses. And these are our axes. This is our y-axis. And this is our x-axis. As we know, as we had used maths, because that's how we can relate it easily. And I try to understand all of these terms in general analogy, because if we can relate this back to when we used to draw graphs in school, maybe the line chart, or maybe we used to solve simultaneous equations. So there were always y and x-axis, and we used to plot our points, and then we used to create a chart. So similarly, if we can correlate them, this is our y-axis and this is our x-axis, and the y-axis actually correlates to rows, and the x-axis correlates to columns. Okay, so this is something we need to engrave it in our mind, I'll say. So whatever goes in the columns will take the form of x-axis, and whatever goes in the rows takes the form of y-axis. One of the other things that it's somehow hard to understand, but we can say that if the data, whatever we are pulling through, now the columns, how they're actually arranged, if we can see, the columns are arranged vertically, right? This is how the columns are arranged. One is central, then is east, then is south, then is west. So whatever we placed on columns gets arranged in the form of vertical structures. They are arranged in a vertical direction and side by side. This is how columns are actually arranged. So every element you put on columns, they are always arranged in a vertical direction, and then they are side by side. Now, if I talk about rows, here we can say that rows are on the y-axis, but how they are arranged. Now, if we particularly talk about rows, they are actually placed in a horizontal direction, and they are placed one or another. If you can see this particular bar chart, this is shown as a single structure, but what is inside there? There are like different elements. They are stacked one above another, like the different sales. If we can just go to this, back to this, let me just close this off. And if you can go back to this, we can see that there are numbers. Now, there are all these different numbers, and when they're stacked up on this particular y-axis scale, it takes the form of a horizontal bar, a vertical bar. And that is why whatever we place on rows are arranged in a horizontal direction. I'll just annotate this as well. So whatever is there in rows, they are arranged in a horizontal direction, and they're one above the another. One above the another. So that's all about how things are actually arranged in rows and columns, because whenever you're going to create even a simple chart, you are going to use these shelves that are named as rows and columns. And once you get a hold of it, how these are actually arranged, creating any type of chart won't be really hard, because Tableau also has a function of doing, let me just, if you've noted this down, I'll just clear it. May I? A yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Prasann, you can do that.
Okay, so let me just clear all of this. So we can create so many charts, like with a show me feature that's here in Tableau. You just need to click on any of them and it will just change. That's how it is. But I won't recommend to use show me for any of your charts. That's what my personal recommendation is, because if you try using this, you won't get a hold of what actually goes in Tableau and how things are being arranged. You'll just get into the nitpicks of just picking them out, and you'll just, yes, this will save time. But what about when you have something to build of your own? It will just kill your creativity. So never use this. That's what I'll recommend. Tableau must have done so much research of for doing this, but I hardly use it, or I never use it actually. And I would recommend the same to all of you, to never use it. Try to build every single of our chart using this rows and column shelves only. And so coming on to this, right now we have covered quantitative and qualitative, dimension and measures, rows and columns. We also knew about shells and access. So we'll further move on to build some more charts. But before that, I would like to know if you have questions right here, right now, because the things we talked about, they are the foundational concepts to build anything in Tableau. So if you have any questions, as per the topics we have just covered, this is the time to go.
Participants, do we have any questions here?
No, it's clear as of now.
Okay, Prasann, you can move ahead.
Okay, I believe it's not all clear. It's clear. So I'll move further. That's great. If you are able to understand it in one go, it's really great, because I had a hard time understanding this, the rows and columns analogy. It's really important how you place those pills. And yes, one of the things that I really missed out, that that if you can see this particular columns and rows, you can see when we pulled out the region, it is blue in color. Now we already know that if it's blue in color, it's a quantitative, it's a qualitative type of field. It's qualitative, and that's why it's a dimension. And then if it is green in color, it is quantitative, and it is green in color. So this particular elements that we see here, these are also referred as pills. So this is a green pill and this is a blue pill. So further now, we have created our simple bar chart right now. So we'll move on to create our line chart now. I'll go to second sheet. I'll click on this and then I'll just rename it to line chart. Well, line chart will be learning one more useful fundamentals that is called continuous and discrete. So what we'll do is we'll take the order date and we'll just place in the columns. Now, what will happen if I place it on the columns? Will it get on x-axis or y-axis? I want your answers in the chat. If I place order date on columns, I got one. Great. So that is what it will do. It will go to the x-axis. So let's put it out there. So now we have the year on the x-axis. And now what we'll do is we'll take the sales and we'll put it on rows. And this will create a line chart. Now, you must have a question that why this happened, because earlier also we did the same and we got a bar chart. Now, Tableau in general also identifies this itself. And if you can see the marks card over here, because we also said that we'll be focusing on this particular element as well. It's right now automatic and it has already identified the bar type as a chart. And if you can see here, it has already identified, it is set to automatic and it has already identified itself to bar chart. We can change this as well. If you don't want the bar chart, let's say if you want the line chart here, we can change this to line chart and we'll get our line chart. But we'll just go with the automatic right now. And that's what helped us to create bar chart. But the recommendation would be to select your bar chart, not go as per the automatic, because things may get a bit nifty, or like you may face something if it's changed to automatic. So always recommended to select a type in the marks card. This is called a marks card. To select the type of chart you want to build. So this is our bar chart. Now going back to our line chart. So here we'll again not just take this be as automatic, but we'll select line. So now we have a line chart. So this shows us a trend between these different years. Like with 2021, the sales grew higher. And this is our insights. Like we can easily draw some insights from this particular chart that with the year in progression, our sales also increased. So there may be numerous we can say there may be numerous identifiers that led us to do so, but let's not just get into the detail, because this is not about the insights session that we are. We are trying to build some basic charts right now. But after we selected this and we have our measure and our dimension in place, we got this line chart. So now why I'm trying to build this line chart? We talked about I'm going to talk about a simple concept known as continuous and discrete. Continuous and discrete. What is continuous and discrete? If you can see this particular line chart. Now the line charts are being connected over different years. Now, what about if I change the spell to this? You might not see a difference, but the difference between both of these charts is now it has changed into a green pill. Now, also it shows that it is in progression. Now, what is continuous and discrete is if you right click on, and this is effective with any of the data type, but let's just stick to a date data type, because that's where we'll mostly use it. Now, you can see there are two intervals. First one year, quarter, you can see these are all the discrete data types, and these are all the continuous data types. Now, what is the difference actually? It may not be clear with the year, but if we switch this order date to month, let's say we'll click this month. Now, this shows our relation in the form of line chart between different months. So this is a discrete line chart because January, February, March, April, all these are unique categories of months, and that is why it is blue as well. Remember, the blue is categorical or qualitative. So whenever it is discrete, it is qualitative and it is bucketed. So we can see the trend between different months. It is not suggesting anything about the year right now. But if we want the progression with respect to month and year, we want it to be on a whole timeline. So what we'll do is we'll again just click on this drop down, or we will right click on it, and then on the next here you will find more year, month, quarter, and these are all continuous types. Now, if I select the month over here, it changes to green. Why it changes to green? Because now we are showing them on a scale and we are trying to measure them over a particular time period. Now, these are all in progression. It starts from January 2018 and it goes to all the way to December 2021. So this is a continuous chart. There is no break in the timeline. So if we can identify it as, let's just, so continuous, we can identify as something, continuous can be defined as a measure that can be represented, measure over a scale. And discrete are individual entities. It is somewhat similar to qualitative and quantitative, but it has its use in the form of when we are trying to build a correlation and we want proper transgression over the different elements of date. Like if we just want to, I'll just go back to this and to make it much more clear. So what I'll do is let's select again a quarter. Now coming back to quarter, it shows us that there are 4 buckets. It's a dimension now and a discrete as well. And we can see that there's a progression between, this is the relation. That's how it goes with all the different quarters. But if we want the relation between different quarters over a time period, over a continuous time period, so that's how we use continuous and discrete. So this is really important when you're building those charts with you, because the type of chart that you require, whether be it over different categories or maybe over a continuous time period, you need to select your data type as per that. And continuous and discrete. Sorry, is there a question? Yes, one of our Aisha just typed in chat that continuous is something that can be measured continuously without break, right? And discrete is only countable, right? Similar to what we thought about the qualitative and quantitative. It's somewhat similar, but it is mostly we can correlate it with the help of a time interval. That's how it will be really easy to understand. I can show you different examples for continuous and discrete as well, but it's better that we remember it in the form of time interval. So whenever we want to measure continuously and over a scale, and we don't want any break in our time interval, that's what is continuous. And if we just want the individual entities to be counted and that's how we want to measure it, that will be discrete. So that's almost completes the fundamentals. So we covered quantitative and qualitative, rows and columns, and then dimension measures, and then continuous and discrete. So right now, we have built two types of charts. Now we'll build some more charts out there. We'll clear all of these. And after this line chart, we'll build a scatter plot. So scatter plot is a type of chart that is usually used to make some correlations between two different measures. So for every, for bar chart and line chart, we saw that we can use one dimension and one measure. And here also we changed it to continuous, but it was a dimension as well. So dimension and measure, that's what the basic requirement is. But when we talk about scatter plot, we need at least two measures to build a scatter plot. Sorry. So what we'll do is, let's take two measures from our data pane. One of them is sales, and let's take the other one as profit. So now, when we placed both of these measures, these are the basic pre-requirements. If you want to build a scatter plot, you need two measures at least to build them. Now, once you have placed both of them over columns and rows individually, so now the profit is over the y-axis and the sales is over the x-axis, and there's a single element. Now, how does it help? Now, there comes in our marks card. So let's just not put it to automatic. I'll suggest to take the help of circles. We'll just take circles. Now, this is again a single point. Now, what relation are we trying to build? There is no relation that we can see. But let's say we want to drill into the granularity of the detail, the data. We want to dig in deep of our data, and we want to know, with the respect of customer names, the different customers out there, what is the relation between sales and profit? So what we'll do is, we'll take the customer name and drag it to detail. Once we drag it to detail, we can see that every element, every single of these elements is a customer. That's what detail option does on the marks pane. It actually explodes the single point based on the detail what you have put into. So now the single point has just exploded into all the different marks out there, and this builds our scatter plot. Now, further, if we are trying to analyze this particular scatter plot, the scatter plot is done. We have already created it, but what more we can do with it? So there are more placeholders on our marks card that we can use, and these are labels, size, color. So what we'll do is, let's take one of them. Let's take the category and pull them into color. Now, when we have put this out here, what we can see is Tableau marks these individual circles with the help of the categories. So now there is a differentiator as well. Now we can see that from altogether a chart, we can see that the densely compacted category is furniture. But if we talk about the profit versus sales, which has the highest, it is actually the technology. Whereas we can see that one of the technology part with what Sean Miller has bought has lower profit, but it has good sales. So that is what this whole scatter plot tells us. We can further add more, we can say, information to it. Let's further, what I'll do is, I'll just decrease the opacity, and let's just add a border to it. Now it looks a bit much better, and it is now easily perceivable by our eyes. That's something all about, I'll say, the best practices, because a data visualization is only as good if you can perceive it easily. If you put it out there, lots of information, and you can't get a hold of it. It's not a good data visualization, and that's what we talked about. So I went through the color. I've reduced a bit of opacity, and I've put an border to it, a simple grayish color, so that we can see it easily. What more we can do is, it might not be the best practice, but let's say if we want to we want to measure the quantity as well, like how much of the units were bought by Sean Miller. Now, how we can do that? Because if I place the quantity over here, uh, let's see what it does. If I place the quantity over here, it will build a different chart, but that is not what we actually want. Now, with respect to sales and quantity, we have a different chart, but how to do this in the same one? Let's just remove it again. And what we'll do is, let's just take the quantity and put it over size. Now you can see now every element have been sized as per the quantity. And here's the scale that we can see. 1 being the least and 115 being the highest. Now this adds more credibility to this scatter plot, and we can draw more insights from this. So this completes our scatter plot as well. And here, the main objective of building the scatter plot was to use our marks card, because we are now well aware of our rows and columns shelves, but it is really important to know how we are going to use this mark shelf as well. Okay, so let's move on to one more chart that we'll build today. So that we can call as, let's call it as a combination chart, because it will use one more feature that we call as, and if this is how we renamed it, but if you want to add something more to the title, you can just double click on it and then you can type in whatever you want. So I'm going to type in the dual axis concept. Now, how the dual axis concept is good, like why the need of dual axis concept. Now let's take customer, drag it to rows. Now take sales. Okay. Now we have our bar chart over here. This is our horizontal bar charts. Earlier we built what was our vertical bar chart. So this is our horizontal bar chart. What we'll do next is, we can, if you can see the toolbar, there are these options. I'll tell you what these mean. Actually, the 3 of them are pretty useful. The first one is swap. Now, this actually swap the rows and columns. If you just want to swap between them, you don't need to like drag from here and there. You can just use this button to swap the rows and columns. So we'll use this one only. Now, these two are the buttons which we can use to sort these graphs. Now, if I want to see the, let's say I want to see at the top who has the highest sales, and then further we want to proceed in a descending order. So for that, we need to sort our bar chart. And for doing this, there are 2 options, but we'll use the simple one right now. So these are the buttons. This says that we'll be sorting it ascending by the sum of sales within customer name, and this sort in descending order by sum of sales within customer name. So I'll click on this. Now this has sorted our graph from ascending to descending. Okay. Now this is what we have done. Now this is the sales. And now if we want to do one more thing. Let's say we want to put the quantity over here, and this creates another bar chart. But how does it helps? Like, what are we trying to draw? Now we'll be using a dual axis concept, but before that, what we'll do is, you can see in the marks card there is all. So in all, whatever you apply, it belongs to both the charts, but the first one we want as bar chart, and let's say we want the second one as a Gantt chart. Okay. We want it as Gantt chart. Let's just color it as black, and let's increase the size a bit. And now by dual axis, we mean that we are actually going to combine both of these axes. Okay. So what we'll do is, to combine both of these axes, we'll just click on this. We'll click on dual axis. Now you see that this has the sum of sales has changed into circles, and the quantity that we placed as Gantt is Gantt. So that's why it's really important to set them not as automatic, but as per what you want. So we'll again set it to bar. Okay. And now what we can see is they both are combined. The both pills are actually combined, and that's what actually dual axis does. Now you can see both of these elements, the quantity as sales and sales, in a single chart. And with this, we can easily create a correlation. Like you can see that for Sean Miller, the quantity is low, whereas for Adrian, for Ken, the quantity is higher, but the sales is less. So this is what we can draw it from here. We can even synchronize these axes. Like these axes goes from 0 to 26K, but this goes from 0 to 150. So this is not the right example where we would synchronize it, because we don't want both of the axes to be same. But in case we want both of the axes to be same, what we'll do is we'll just click on the second one, whoever the second one, and then we'll just click on synchronize axis. Now see, every element is out there because it's the numbers are very less as compared to this. So I'll just click on this to go back to see where we were. And this actually builds our combination chart, and you can use different combinations. This is a combination of bar and a Gantt chart. Similarly, you can combine any two types of charts and use the dual axis concept. And remember, a dual axis can only combine two measures. So that is something we need to remember. So I'll just annotate it here. So dual axis concept can be used to combine two charts, and both of them needs to be a measure. You cannot combine dimensions, and you can build this to combine any two types of charts, plus you can also synchronize your axis. Okay. This might not be visible here, but yes, you got a hold of it. You can also synchronize the axis as well, so that you can have for both the measures, you can have the same axis, same scale for both of them. Scale would be the right word. So scale for both of them, and then you can combine any two types of charts. So that's all about charts. So what we learned how to use these marks card as well. There is one more thing that we left, and that was labels, because we have already used color, detail, size, and there is one more that is called labels. So I'll show you what label does. And there is one more feature which I'll show you here. So coming back to the bar chart. Now here you can see is these are the numbers, but before hovering, were you able to identify this? This gives us that the West is highest, but what about the numbers? So that's where label comes in. If I want to label this particular bar charts by their sales, either I can click on this button, the text show marks label, that will show the marks as well. That is one way. And the other would be to select the sales and place it over the labels. Now, why do this? Because it's not mandatory that you'll be using this is a default type which we use for showing the labels. But if we want to like format it more and make it more look like, because this is really hard to understand, and the number 725,458, 725K, that is something what I can see from here. But if I show this to someone who has not a good amount of time to visually see the numbers, it will be really hard for him to comprehend between all of these numbers. Now, how about I first I sort them, and then what I'll do is I'll right click on this. I'll go to format, and then after format, this is something you can try, and you'll get more comfortable when you try the formatting techniques. So wherever you feel like you want to format, just right click on that. That's how I learned. I can show you the conventional way, but that is something you can learn later. For at first, just try to click on everything you want to format and just go to format. A pop-up will open where you can just see how things can happen. Now, coming back to this, when I've clicked on format, this appeared. Now, if I go to numbers, it gives me an option to select different formats. Like either I can take them as percentage, but these are sales. So this is actually currency. So I'll go to currency. I'll go to custom. Let's say this is as rupees right now. Let's be it rupees, and we can go to thousands, and we want the decimal places to be 1. Okay. Now, this is pretty much clear and easy to understand when we want the information at higher level. So that's what labeling does. It helps us to understand without even now, you don't need to hover. You can just see what the numbers out there, what exactly is out there. If you want to use this chart in a presentation, this will be something you'll be doing it rather than you'll be hovering on a presentation, and that's not possible actually. So this is how, and you can further modify the labels and even align them. You can change the size. That's all about customization and formatting that you can do yourself and try them out. Also, one of the next thing that we left out was tooltips. So whatever we saw here on hovering, this small rectangular box, white color, this is called a tooltip. By default, if we click on this, we can see that it's arranged. But let's say I don't want to see this in this way. I want to see this in a way where it's written in the form of language. So I want to say West or whatever region has as sales of amount rupees, whatever it is. So we can customize our tooltips as per our need. That's what I actually wanted to show you. I'll just don't put it as bold. And we can also preview it before we click on OK. So now this will look like this. Central as sales of amount rupees 391.7K. That's how it will look like. I'll just hit on OK. And now it is applied. So that's the use of tooltips, and you can use them to customize and even build a story on how you want to actually present the hover information. You can add more information to it. Like there is one more feature that we can talk about before we head on to our last part, because I think we don't have much time left now. So there's one more feature that we can use and that's called Vision tooltip. Now what we can do is we got the hold of that West has this much of amount. Now I can even insert one of our line chart in this particular bar chart tooltip. And let's see what it does. Now we have inserted it. Now let's see what it does. Now it not only shows the sales of West, but also it shows the progression of West with respect to different years. See, and Tableau actually automatically does that. You don't have to do anything, because what you can see is if you if I go to our line chart, this is something different. Like this is over quarter date, and but the basic that we started off was this. So if we talk about this is somewhat useful when we want to dig in deep and we want to give more information. But if there is a lot of information out there, you don't need to put vision tooltips. You only need to put in vision tooltips when you want to show a bit more detail of what is already there. You don't want to overwhelm your user. So I just wanted to show you that this is something you can use, because it really looks cool, and it is also helpful when you want to dig deeper at a small level, because West is at a very higher level, and then you want to dig in deeper. And you can, with the just a hover, you can see that now with the progression of year, this is how it has went. So it gives you an idea about how the sales of West has actually, like what has been the real trend over it. So this is all about tooltips and vision tooltips. One of the last thing we would like to address, and one of the favorites, I'll say, is maps. So right now you can see that we had one of our data types as globes, and this we referred to as the geographical data type. So we have, okay, so Shivangi got this. Okay, it's already out there. Maybe I can just show you. If you go to this, and you can go to this, and you can change the orientation. Tableau has these things like on a click away. It's just a click away, everything. It's really easy to even format it. Everything is, you just need to explore it more and more, and just try it more and more. That's the only thing. I'll say that's how I actually learned. It's just that I fell in love with this particular software, and I tried using it every day, and I just got good, I believe. There's a lot to learn for me as well, but at least I know a bit right now about this particular software. So now heading on to maps. Now, what's the best thing about Tableau is it also identifies the data types, and whenever you have such a data type, it automatically generates two of the fields, that is called latitude and longitude. Now, if I want to show the sales of different countries over map, how I can do that? First, what we need to do is, whenever you are trying to build a map, first just double click on latitude, double click on longitude, you'll have a map. Now, what you need to do is, you want to add more information to it. Now, for adding information to it, let's just put the country onto detail. Now it shows that there's one country, and this is United States. I'll just change this to map so that we can see the United States, and then I may further put the state into detail. Now, when I put the state into detail, it actually establishes a relationship, and now we can see that with every United States, there are different states that is being identified. Now, if I put the sales over the color, it gives us a very clear graph, and here is our color axis as well, where we can see that the 920 has a little bit of greenish, and it gets to a teal color. That is what we call it as a teal blue. So we can see that clearly from this map that this particular state, California, has the highest amount of sales. And this actually gives us much more better idea about how the sales went within United States, because the sample superstore contains the data for United States only. So that's why we are only able to view this particular country only. Because Tableau has more features now. You can even put the city over a different layer. and not like this. Let's just put the here. Now you can see that every city is being mapped. So it's just a click away. And for whenever you want to add a detail to a chart, whenever you want to do that, always try to put in that particular field into details. And also there's one more thing that we did here, and that's why we are getting this type of chart, is because we haven't created a relationship between these three columns. Actually, the country should be associated with hierarchy, in a hierarchy with state and then with a city. Tableau identifies it automatically to an extent, but when we further dig deeper into it, it is somehow mapping it up, but we are not getting the details as we want. So one of the things that we can do whenever we want to create a relationship between them is, or we want to create a hierarchy between them is, what you can do is, there's a simple way. Just drag and put it out here. Here it shows create hierarchy, country, region, state. Okay. Now this creates a hierarchy between them. And now I further want the city to be here. So if I'm putting out there, this creates a hierarchy. Now see how does this works. What is the actual benefit of hierarchy? You can further dig in deep, and it allows your users to dig in deep much easier. Now, if there is city, country, and if you just click on this, it further digs in deep into states. And if you further click on this plus sign, it further digs in at city level. So that's the use of hierarchy. Actually, I hadn't planned about showing this, but since we are all about maps, it's really interesting, and I find it very like, it's some of the things that you find it very much appealing. So this is one of them, and I really love maps. Further, I'll just give an let me just check out the time, because we have some other things to address as well. So if we go to map on the menu bar, here you have options like map layers, and in the map layers, you can do different things. You can even choose the different types of maps. This is a normal type. If you want dark, you can do this as well. You can opt for streets as well. There are different options you can opt for, and just play around with it. It will be much more fun if you see yourself what is out there and how you can do this. Also, you can try for where it is. Yes, like go to background maps and add a WMS map. That is something you should you can search. I'll not get into the detail, but I'll say just search for this. You'll get a solution for this on the web. So search for this, and from here you can even take out the maps from outside of Tableau environment. Like if you want to use some map that has the geographical information with climate, and then you can use the WMS URL of that particular map, and you can put it there. Or you can just ignore it. It might be overwhelming right now with so much information. So just play with maps, I'll say. And I think this also ends our demonstration of using Tableau. And with this, we built actually 5 type of charts. And this is all about Tableau. So I think that completes our point of building basic charts with Tableau. And we'll further move on to the last part, where we'll talk about Tableau Public and community. So if you have any questions with respect to any of these maps or any of these basic charts or any of the concepts that we learned, please go ahead.
Participants, do we have any questions?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so
You can move ahead, Prasann then.
okay, fine. So let's move on to the last part. And this is all about Tableau Public. Now, if you're trying to use Tableau, and one of the main reason that I think why you use Tableau is to upskill yourself, and you want a good career. You want to get a job in maybe a data science field or business intelligence field, and that's why you are trying to pick up Tableau. That's one of the most I'll say one of the most important motives behind using Tableau. Now, coming on to Tableau Public, why you should use Tableau Public. One of the important thing is with Tableau Desktop, you won't get a free license. It's actually 14-day trial only. But if you want to use all the features of Tableau, and you want to explore it, Tableau Public is the best place. And I think you have already got the link to download it. Now, next, what more comes with Tableau? What more comes with Tableau? So we already knew that it's a free software, and we have all the functionalities of Tableau. That's what already we have certain limitations, and that's only with the type of data source that we can connect. But all the features that we want in the software, that is already there with Tableau Public. And the next thing that Tableau Public helps you do is it helps you to build your portfolio as well. Because if you're using Tableau Public, you can't save your work on your local desktop. You need to save your work on Tableau Public itself. And for that, you'll be creating your own account on Tableau Public. That's also free. And okay, so you want to you have to create actually a account of yours, and then you can, whatever you have built, or maybe if some of you have, I believe some of you have already created some charts with me, so you can save them along. And what you can do is, I'll show you how you can do. Let me just go back to Tableau. And if you go to server, there's an option. You might not have these options, but you might have this particular option. And if you go to save to Tableau Public, it will ask for your credentials, or if you have not created, you can create one, and it will take you to this website. Where it is? This website, where you will have your own space and where you will have all your visualizations. So this is my portfolio, and I'll tell you this, because I've heard thoughts that why we should invest so much time with building a portfolio. So I'll tell you that because I came from a totally different background, this was the place that really gave the evidence to my interviewers, and it gave me many job offers. And it is something that is giving me every day more and more. So the more time you invest on building your portfolio is something which will reap you so many benefits. It doesn't have a single one. So I'll really recommend to go ahead and create a Tableau Public portfolio, build some basic charts, start with some, and then you can progress further. Coming back to this. So now, why portfolio? I already talked about this, because if you're someone who already has an expertise, or if you have already worked with Tableau or any related software, you already can show that yes, these are the projects you have done. But what about if you're someone new? How will you show your expertise to them? You can talk about them, and maybe they'll ask you so many questions, but that's something which might be somewhat challenging if you're not able to crack those questions. But if you have a portfolio in place, and if you show them your portfolio, it acts as a very credible source to validate your expertise, because it really shows how many things you have used, like what type of charts are you able to build. It it already it comes out naturally what you already know, and it is really useful. Plus, if you do a proper networking, if you try to publish all these visualization, whatever you create on LinkedIn as well, so that will help you to explore the job market that is actually hidden. Because I'll say what I have seen and what I've observed, there are lots of jobs beyond what you see. It's listed out there or maybe on Naukri, Monster, or maybe on LinkedIn as well. But apart from those listed jobs, there are numerous job openings that even didn't even come up to the surface. But if you try this way, if you try to network with people, if you're trying to show your whatever your work is, and you want to share, you try to share it with your network on LinkedIn or maybe other uh, social media platform, there are so many chances that some might just call you or maybe message you that they like your work and they want to hire you. So this is the reality that I have faced, and that's why I really recommend to use a portfolio. Now, apart from portfolio, there is one more topic that I want to talk about, and that is Tableau community. Now, what is Tableau community? Tableau community is a group of people that are out there, and they interact so much between themselves that they have built a great space, and that can help you to motivate, get inspired, and even get help for all your Tableau needs. So one of the Tableau community, you might have heard about the term data fam. If you can search on LinkedIn as well, you will see so many posts with such hashtag, and that is the community. And the Tableau community is such that even like there are Tableau ambassadors or Zen masters, you can just message them, and everybody's so helpful. Plus, there are tons of quizzes that are being posted with such hashtag, and that will help you to learn more and more. And you can also ask feedback, and there are different mentoring opportunities. One of them is by Vinod Kumar and Adam Miko. They both are now Tableau Zen masters, or Tableau visionary, as we say now. So that can help you to align a mentor with you, and with that, that is really helpful. And if you're like you might have some questions about this data fam, what is it? So I'll show you that as well, because I was also confused when I was actually starting out there. So if I just go to Tableau, sorry, I'll go to Twitter. I used to not use Twitter earlier because I thought it was a place for almost political and like great people, like the great leaders out there. But what is happening out there on Tableau is there's a whole Tableau community. And if I just go to Twitter, even if you don't have Twitter, uh, I will really recommend to build a Twitter account. And even if you don't want to interact, just try this out. It will really blow up your mind, because if you try and search for hashtag data fam, what you'll see is lots of visualization that people are building that are out there. Not only visualization, even blog posts, even jobs openings, different webinars, because this is one of the webinars that you did, but there are so many webinars that are happening all around the world. So you can take the help of this Twitter community, and you can get inspired every day, like even grab on some more webinars, read to some blogs, or maybe if you want to like go through a visualization, because everyone who has published a visualization, they must have done with a link. That's what we generally do. So if you click on this link, you can go back to this visualization, and you can see how they have done it. You might even download it if they have. Yes. So like this person has put it on, you can download it. It is downloadable. So you can download it even, and you can see how they have done that. So that's how you can use this particular Tableau community to further skill up yourself. Once you have gone through the basic fundamentals, and once you are well aware of how Tableau works, check it out, or maybe today itself, check it out. And I'll recommend, like many of us use Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, or even LinkedIn. But let's just stick to 10 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day of scrolling over Twitter as well, over this hashtag. And you will see so much content that will really help you to learn. And there's no sort of selling or anything people do here. It's totally a free community, and people try to learn among themselves. And if even if you want to participate, you can do that. And Tableau has a hierarchy and accolades as well that they give to those who want to share more and more. So you can even be a Tableau ambassador, and even be a Zen master. So that's something you can work upon if you're really interested. And this is all about community. The last thing I would like to put in is this is actually I had stopped, but this webinar, and I saw that uh, there is a real good interaction between us. So even if some of you are, if you want to get on with me on a one-to-one call, I've opened the slot for April right now. It's not open to everyone out there because it's just for these people who have attended this webinar right now. So I'm putting this link, and it's a one-to-one free consultation call, and you can book your time with me, and you can have, if you want your guidance or if you have any query over Tableau or anything, we can catch up for 30 minutes and I can help you with it. So that's all for today. And if you have any questions, please do let me know.